guys, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Elle. Really nice to meet you. I am almost a third year student of Hotel School The Hague. Actually finishing up MFD in APC, and then I'm completely done with phase 2 courses, and then as of summer I'm gonna be phase 3. This is why I thought of a video like the one you're watching right now. And you could be also wondering, like, who is this girl and why does she think she wants to speak about this? And the reason behind this video is that in all universities there are a lot of projects that involve teamwork, especially in a university like HTH, where school really trains us to develop the soft skills to enter the industry later. You know, the hospitality, it's all about working with people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different experiences, and school really aims to prepare you for environments where you will not be working with the most motivating people or people from a complete different background than what you have, but it wants you to figure out your way around during the school years. So that's why in Hotel School The Hague we started with our first group project, but the first deadline as a group week 6. Like a big deadline where we needed to present a project together, designing a menu. And that was so intense because you kind of start the school hoping for a slow start, but school really directly gives you a challenge to solve it out all together. And my team was consisting of like mostly internationals, so it was a good experience. But that's why I really wanted to speak about this, because entering a university could be a little bit frustrating when it comes to group projects where we need to compromise a lot with other people. And I was gonna give you some tips today about this. It actually took me a while to figure it out myself of how to approach this, because as the years moved on, and I've been in hotel school for 2 years right now, 2.5 even, having so many group projects where you block to block are given different assignments to finalize together with a group of different people all the time. And in our school you're not allowed to choose your groups, so there is only one course when you're allowed to choose the team members, but for the rest you are completely randomized with people that you sometimes never even heard about. They're also mixing up the intakes in our school, so that's even better. But having those group projects unorganized really causes a lot of frustration. I'm sure you guys can reflect with me a lot back on your own experiences where the deadlines are not met, which causes a lot of frustration. There are conflicts, there is anger. And for me personally, I am stressed when we do things last moment because they were not done in a proper way or they weren't done timely enough. And then I am a person who really takes a lot of responsibility for the group, and then I end up redoing the things for the team, which causes a lot of internal stress, which I now gonna share with you how I'm dealing with, to not end up in the situations when the night before the deadline we need to do some last minute adjustment. And I'm now really preferring to submit the projects 1 day in advance to not stress for, you know, last moment when the type of the document doesn't work when you're trying to submit it. So yeah, as a phase 3 student, I wanted to give you some tips and tricks I've applied throughout my school years to make it a little bit less of a stressful experience to be dealing with the group projects, especially with bigger groups of like 6 people. I'm gonna show you how to make it a little bit more productive, a little bit more on the effective communication side, but also keeping it a fun experience for everybody and not making it like box kind of instruction of how to approach the group project. So my tip number 1 would be to get to know your team members in advance, if possible. In our university, the groups are released week 10, so a block in advance. They will be posted in my hotel school where you would know the stream that people are from and their names. And if you weren't in a nutshell, then you probably should know who the people are. And what I would do is just walk around a little bit knowing who people have worked with in the teams, to just get the feeling of what to expect, to know how to approach it. And sometimes if it's a smaller group, I would even ask people to send me their Berkman, just because it helps me to understand how to guide people better, and also gives me a little bit of a glance of in the personality side of the person. But that's if you're on good terms with the person already, then most of the times they don't mind to share their personality test. Sometimes I would just ask them if they know their personality type, just for fun. But I would get a little bit of information to know what to prepare myself for. If that is not possible, like to do the pre-work, then my next tip would be to schedule a meeting before doing anything school related, to just chat a little bit, to get to know people who you'll be working with, because skipping that step will directly be, you know, work and that's it. But you are a university student and it's much easier to work with people who you know a little bit. So make it easier for yourself. And then on that meeting, I would either do a separate meeting or do it just in one go, is when you know what the project is all about, to sit down and really speak about what is important for me to have from the team and what is my desired outcome. I would usually start that discussion just because I'm a very outspoken person, so I would just clearly state that, hey, my average right now is 80. I would make sure that people understand what my values are and where I want to get, and I would usually present it in a way that, hey, I can get you a good grade, but I need you to follow my direction and follow my instructions, because then that way you can also benefit from sharing a grade that we will receive in the end, which is a win-win situation, right? But here it's also important that you take the time to do a round and make every person of the team speak what is their vision of the team and what is their vision of the final goal of the project. And if at some point you hear, guys, I'm not gonna invest more than 50% of my time dedicated to the course to do this, I will deliver my job, but 55 is enough, as 5 is we pass, I'm good. Then I would already be, okay, then I know what to deal with. But why would you lower down your standards for somebody who wants a 55? Then I would really make sure that you ask the person to do their best, aim for at least 80. If it's not going to be an 80, that's fine, but make sure that the person is ready to work what they are part of the project, because here you have a great argument of saying, hey, we need to do equally much, and if we want to have at least a pass, you will also need to bring in the work. The question is just about the quality to get a higher grade, so why not just deliver it timely, So I think this meeting must set the priorities straight for everybody to know where everybody stands and make a vision of a group. So not only yours, but bring it all together and summarize it together into one direction. That would really make a huge difference for you, rather than just starting somewhere and let's see where it gets us. That's a very important step that so many teams miss. And then once again, everybody are frustrated. Then tip number 2, if you actually discover that people have completely different visions of the project and you cannot align people at all, then I would make sure to make an agreement. A written agreement is totally permitted in any type of university, especially at HTH. If you as a team, as a group of adults, sit down and discuss what happens if somebody doesn't meet a deadline 3 times. Hey, I know that you are already saying that you're doubting if you can be participant. What happens if you miss 3 meetings? Usually in that situation, we would describe it in terms of strikes. So if you didn't meet a deadline within a certain period of time and it happens over and over again, then the person can be eliminated from the group. How easy is that? In our school, it's allowed to kick out somebody week 6, so the first 6 weeks of the project, so not right before the deadline. But if the person wasn't there and they didn't deliver their piece of a pie, it's totally fine to say, hey, this is not working out, I'm sorry, but we will continue on our own, because what's the point of having a person who is not delivering anything if the person is going to be a free rider? Save yourself some frustration, put it on paper, everybody signed it, the person knew what the consequences were, they didn't follow it. Then apart from setting the expectations beforehand, now I'm going to talk a little bit more on the process side of the team projects. And what really helps me to make it easier to know what's going on, my teams would usually set a deadline either on Friday or Sunday every week, because usually it's an 8 or 9 week project in our school, and every week we are fed new information and new chunks of the project that we need to deliver, so it makes it easier to split it part by part. And why I'm talking about Fridays and Sundays, because yeah, we all live in Amsterdam and many people work apart from school, so with some teams, when people dedicate their weekend to working, I know that it's not most productive. I myself work Friday to Sunday every week of the year, so it is important that you negotiate it once again what works for us. And hopefully this came on the meeting when you talked originally, that the person, hey, I can deliver but I need to work, then okay, all the deadlines are gonna be Friday 6 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock everything is in the document. You have a couple of hours to just look over what happened and maybe put in some comments for feedback already. Yeah, it's important that you communicate what is important for you and what the reasonable deadline is, because if you just decide, okay, Sunday is good and somebody quiet and the team just didn't say that they have work and then nothing is delivered, but they should have spoken about this, or we should have approached it differently. So Friday and Saturday I would recommend to see what is working best for you. Another problem that I see causing a lot of frustration and anger and conflicts is the quality of work delivered. And that's something that's a little bit more difficult to track than just the agreed deadlines, because you need to read it and then see, okay, did the person do what was needed to be done, or do I see it differently? Here, people sometimes just don't have the standards of writing in good English. Sometimes you're put with people who even by year 2 don't know what the writing guidelines are from our school. Some people don't know how to put correct sources in, and then you are like, okay, how come you still don't know this? But old part of me would just go, okay, like, let me just redo it because you have got no clue how to do it. But that's kind of a fixed mindset, and that's something I learned over the past 2 years not to do, because once again, then I'm feeling like I'm doing all the job and I'm feeling a little bit burdened to carry everything with me. And the new version of me would really make sure that I guide the person who did something wrong, like, hey, this is not the writing guide. Have you checked it? Can you do that for me, please? Because this doesn't seem correct to me. Instead of spoon feeding people what to do, or even worse, just doing it myself, which takes me a lot of time, and then once again, the piece of a pie of a project that I'm doing versus everybody else is uncomparable. And that's how I felt the first part of my education period. Now I'm different, yeah? Make sure that you give another person a deadline on redoing things the correct way. Give them some advice of how you think you would approach it. Don't be like, pushing this is wrong, but be like, hey, have you thought about this? Have you looked into this? Have you checked if this is aligned with the grading rubric of the project? And trust me, people will be like, no, because they cannot lie you straight into the face. If they haven't, they have not. And then make sure that you set them a deadline to redo it. If they just, yeah, no, I didn't do it, then they expect you to correct it. No, this is not gonna work. So make sure that you don't take responsibilities, but you grant the responsibility plus a direction of an action. Also, another thing here to not skip is to make sure that the person understood the task, because some people really take longer to understand what the project is all about. And here you really need to get a yes from a person when asking, hey, is everything clear? Are you sure you know how to approach this? And if you see a single doubt in the person's answer, please sit with them and just guide them through, okay, what do I want you to deliver? Because if you don't own the process of moving the team and people are confused to look into it themselves, at least give them a hand being like, hey, can we sit down and talk about this so I'm sure you know that you're on the right track. Super important to get people aligned, because many times people just go, yay, I'll figure it out, and then Sunday evening they're sitting holding their hair being like, I have no clue what I need to do. Save yourself that stress and time, sit down with somebody and make sure to get a yes on that question. Then that leads me naturally to point number 7, where you create an environment when people feel free to come with questions and doubts. Usually you would make a group chat like before starting the group project to just get everybody's numbers, get in contact, but also make sure that that group chat is easily used for putting out a question. Make sure that you ask questions in the chat as well. Make sure that you show to the team that, hey, this is a place where we can ask our doubts. Make sure that people feel free to bring their questions to the table, either in person or then in that group chat. And this should be like, hey, I'm here to help you. If you bring it to me, I would be glad to assist you and help you to make a decision. A follow-up tip on 7 is number 8, to ask everybody in the team when they're done with their part and the part is complete, check, and it's put in the document that they type your done message in the chat. Hey, I finished my part, it's in the document, please check, give me feedback. Then I know, okay, the person met the deadline, they think it's good quality, now it's ready to check. Now I can schedule myself time to have a look at it. Because sometimes you just skip that part of checking other people's work, but if a person is just putting in things, you just assume it's good and then we move on, the quality is just not there. So please make sure that you yourself own the process once again and schedule yourself some time to overlook things. And then point number 9, if something is really not working out, like person is getting irritated by you, they don't like to be controlled, you at some point chose the wrong word and person took it personally, which shouldn't happen, but if the person is not really confident about themselves, sit down with them one-on-one and talk it through, because this is gonna be a bag that you drag with you throughout the project of 8 weeks, and you don't want to cause any irritations of other people as well. It should be fun to be in the university, and it's fun to make people come together and do something nice. At least that's what I'm studying, hospitality. So make sure that you have addressed it one-to-one, drink a coffee together, bring everything to the table, speak about how the person made you feel, listen carefully how you made the person feel, and make a plan to approach this differently next time to make it work, because you both need to own the process of delivering something. And point number 10, my last and my favorites. That's something I learned within HTH, and maybe this will help other students who do not have the teamwork lectures in their schools. But here in hospitality, we really learn to deliver feedback to somebody without assuming anything, so biasless. No assumptions whatsoever. And there you really need to make sure that when you deliver feedback to somebody that you only use actions. I see you did that, verb. I see you've been lazy yesterday because nothing is in the document right now. Here you made an assumption about the person that they were lazy yesterday, but maybe something happened, you had no clue what happened in their life. Just talk about the outcomes, talk about what you see person doing that you would like them to do differently. But I think it's a really great model to adopt in real life as well. Don't talk about person's personality, person's traits. Make sure you only address actions. I saw you do this. Why did you do this? Can you do it differently next time? I would approach it differently. And that's it. For the rest, guys, I wish you all the best. I know it's not easy to do group projects, but you can also make it fun for yourself if you yourself take actions to keep it organized. That's how it is, unfortunately. Some people will need to take a little bit more hard hands on the team after I figured out how to approach it, but it was also a big learning journey, and I really can take a lot with me to the real life experiences as well. I really hope this was useful. If it was, please leave a like down below. I hope to post a little bit more frequently. I say it by the end of every video, but almost done with phase 2. I am entering summer vacations, so I hope I will be able to do some more videos for you guys. For now, thank you very much for checking it out, and good luck.